Hello, Intactivists! So I am super excited because I have been keeping you on the right side of this market, and it's awesome. My Verizon play was the best performer on the communication services. Uranium's been going crazy. Gold broke over $2,000. Cronus broke 6 cents. The SPY, Ford, and the triple Qs is dropping just like I said it was. And yes, I am still paying off debt aggressively and pulling out of the stock market a little at a time. So I'm still doing all these things and I'm trying to keep you guys on the right side of things, but keep in mind this is just what I'm doing. So this is not financial advice. And hello, welcome to my new channel, by the way. And also, am I going to get every turn correct? Heck no. I'll even show you where I didn't get a turn correct. But lots of things that I have said will happen has been happening, so that's awesome. Anyways, let's go and look into some things because there's some things you're going to learn today actually. So let's go. I know we're starting the news off with some articles, not my typical way of doing things, but this is important. JP Morgan Chase Jamie Dimon is selling 1 million shares. This guy does not sell shares like ever. So this is pretty big. And he's even said it himself that he thinks that interest rates can go up to 7%. And, you know, this guy's pretty smart. So if Jamie Dimon is selling stocks, I would also follow him for sure. He sold quite a bit. He sold a million shares of his own stocks. So, read the tea leaves here, guys. If he's selling his own stocks, what does that mean? Also, another thing that you guys don't know is that, or you perhaps do not know, is that when you use a brokerage account, you do not own your own shares. There's a pile of shares, there's a pile of stocks, and you have your name entitled to a certain amount. So whenever you buy something, like let's say you buy 100 Verizon shares, you don't actually own that. It's just Robinhood buys it on the behalf of you, and there's like 1.5 million shares of Verizon that Robinhood owns, and they just, write, oh, Potts is entitled to 100 shares of Verizon. Like, that's all what that is. That's it. That's nothing else. Like, so there's a third-party risk. That is why it says right here that brokerages can sell stock positions from your brokerage account. There will generally be a valid reason why this occurred. So brokerages do typically have the right to sell your stocks, and that's because they're allowed to. And there's rules in place, but when, the things hit the fan and things go bad, rules have a tendency to change pretty quickly. So keep in mind, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And if you wonder how you can hold your own stocks, well, great question. So it's called a direct stock purchase plan. And this program enables individuals to purchase a company's stock directly from the company without the intervention of a broker. So if you go and do this, you can go ahead and actually hold your own stocks. And it looks like this. If you just look up images of direct stock purchase certificates, this is what it looks like. It looks like a certificate with numbers on it and stuff. I'm sure if we click on it, you could probably zoom in here. So it looks something like this, like off to the side. I know I'm covering it, but that's kind of what it looks like. Just in case you're wondering, I also don't actually own any real stock certificates, just so you guys know. Anyways, continuing on to the fear and greed index, we are at extreme fear right now. And if you look here, the market momentum, extreme fear, stock price strength, extreme fear, stock price breadth, extreme fear, and then put in call options, fear, market volatility, fear, safe haven demand, extreme fear, and we still have extreme greed for junk bond demand. So we're in extreme fear territory still, and it's crazy. Like, people are very afraid of being in this market right now. And you know what they say, when there's blood in the streets, it's time to buy. But however, if you go to the MMRI, the risk indicator is at 320.7, and this is really high, guys. So please do not play with money that you need. If you're playing with money that you need, that's probably a bad idea. So you probably don't want to do that. And if we go to the S&P 500 heat map, allow me to move myself really quickly. Yes, so look here, guys. Go to communication services. Look at the best the best performer, Verizon. Look at that, guys. This is the highest of the communication services. It is Verizon making 5.92% this week. It was just so beaten down, and I am holding it. I'm holding it for the dividend, so trying to be safe, trying to keep you guys in like a safe place. If you are following me, that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to be in a safe place. But yeah, entertainment is doing horrible. Just communications in general is just doing bad. But Verizon is doing amazing out of this. And keep in mind, I do own Verizon. I own a lot of it. I own definitely 5 figures worth of Verizon. So, anyways, going on to stock charting. So this is the S&P 500, and guys, look at this. Look how crazy this is. Let me first of all move me. I have told you guys we had a head and shoulders pattern played out. It's playing out right now, and we are getting closer to the end phase of this head and shoulder pattern. And keep in mind, I have puts on this. I have SSO puts, which is a derivative of this. But anyways, it fought the 200-day a little bit. Like I said, it was going to bounce off, fight the 200, and it just went crashing down. So look at that, guys. This is, oh man, this here is probably going to maybe hit. But however, look at the RSI. We are extremely oversold right now at 25. So definitely be careful of that. And the MACD, it's pretty high still if you compare it. So we can still drop a little bit more. We are below the 200-day, below the 20 EMA and the 50 EMA. So I still think this has some lower to go. We might retest the 200 again and fail. I think we're going to retest it just so we can get this RSI to pop up a little bit more. And then we're going to go back down and finish out this head and shoulders pattern. That's what I think is going to happen. But if you also want to just be safe and just take your profits, if you did buy puts on this or short this, I mean, I would not fault you at all. Also, looking at the Qs, look at this. I know it took a little bit to play out, but boom, look at that. We had a bearish ascending triangle. We almost like hit this exactly at 340. We're actually at 343. So we were so close to just hitting this. And you know what? This is an approximate. Maybe I could have moved this up or down a little bit, but you know, we retest the 200-day, and yeah. So where do we go from here? We're probably going to bounce up. I think we're going to bounce up. The RSI is really low. We're above the 200-day. Probably going to bounce off this, get rejected off the 50-day, and then go back down, if I had to guess. And I do have puts on TQQQ. So yes. It's actually a calendar spread. I have a calendar spread on TQQQ and SSO as well, but yeah, that's a different thing for something else. It's like really complicated strategy. Anyways, this green line, I said, oh yes, if it keeps bouncing, we'll be good. However, I did draw out this head and shoulders pattern for you guys. I drew this. I don't know if you guys remember this last time when I drew the head and shoulders pattern. I said, hey, this head and shoulders pattern, it's super real. It might happen. It might break down. But I'm banking on this green line, so hopefully it holds. Well, green line did not hold, so my other predictions coming true of this is going to go down, and this has a long way to go down, all the way to 745. And then, but the RSI is just so oversold right now. It's at 16.45, so we have to have a bounce. I mean, I could not see this going this much lower. We're already at 991. So maybe have it ride back up a little bit to retest this support line or the resistance at like $11 and then have it go back down. I can see that, but I think it's going to take a couple months at least for it to hit 750, 740. And I do own Ford. I have sold calls on it, very low calls. So this isn't super horrendous for me because I was prepared both ways. That's the thing. You guys always want to be prepared both ways because you never know how these things are going to work out. All right, and so for Mara, guys, look at Mara. Nailed this, like to the wall, nailed this. Look at this. It followed this perfectly. Like, it's been following the technicals perfectly. This is a bullish descending wedge. It went up and then it just continued going down, and it went up again, and perfectly right on this green, it like nailed it. It even went past the 200-day, got rejected, and now is heading back to retest maybe support down here at 683. I don't know. I still think that we're going to try and break through the 200-day again. So we still have a rising 200-day moving average, so that's bullish, but we are below it. But I think that we're going to retest it at least one more time to see what's up. So maybe we break through it this time. But we're also below the 50-day moving average as well. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. The RSI is relatively bullish. It's above 53. It hasn't crossed over. The MACD is bullish. It's rising up. I know that we're losing some strength here in the past 2 days. I would wait. I think that we have a bull flag pattern playing out right now, and I think that I would not be surprised if we take this up higher. If you want me to draw that really quickly, if I had to guess what's going on right now, it would be something like this. If I had to guess, like, you're like on the spot, what do you think is going to happen? Maybe something like this. If it breaks out here, we can definitely see Mara go up to $12. I think that's a good chance of that happening, or $12.14. So we'll see how far this wants to play out, but that's just my guess. All right, and then gold, guys, it broke over $2,000, which is fantastic, but we're so overbought. It's at 80 almost, 76. We're at 76 oversold on the gold versus like the US versus the ounces. I think we're gonna have to pull back, maybe hit the 200-day again, and then rise back up and take off. So I think we're gonna bounce and then take off. I know we're still trying to break that 280. Yep, we're still trying to break that 280 right up here. We'll see if it does break. It is going to be acting as resistance. Yeah, but MACD is really high up there. It's not as overbought as it could be because it has been higher before. I guess we'll see what happens with this. I would just be cautious on gold right now because this whole thing is a very overbought. Keep in mind, guys, for the RSI, I am on 10. I use 10 on the RSI, so don't get confused about that as well. If you use 14, this looks completely different. Just to show you real quick, this is what it looks like when you do 14. See how this drops a little bit more to 71 to 64. So it's like, oh, it's not that bad. Yeah, I like to use 10. I like to be ahead of the curve. That makes sense. I like to be ahead of the curve. I like to get out early, get in early. That's what I like to do. That's how I do things. I'm the first one at the party, first one to leave. Yeah, also on gold, we do have a golden cross that's about to happen with the 50 and the 200-day moving average. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we should see that. Also, we are above the 50, the 200, and the 20-day moving average as well, which is bullish. And yeah, I'm still cautioning though on gold right now. But keep in mind, if you own gold, like actually own it, and you actually own silver and metals, you don't have any counterparty risk if you actually buy it and purchase it yourself. Just so you guys know, it's like owning paper stocks, like actual paper stocks, like certificates that you own. There's no third party counter risk to it. So fun little caveat to this. All right, so at Denison Mines here, and at Denison Mines, I know I sold this right. I was like, hey guys, like we're coming up on this rail. I'm gonna sell a whole bunch of stuff on Denison Mines. Like I need to lower my load. I had a lot of Denison Mines. We did break out though, and we went higher. And yeah, and I was expecting this to go down, but it did not. So I did get that wrong, but that's okay because I didn't sell everything. Right now the RSI is below 50, which is bearish, but we haven't inversed yet. It's pretty flat, honestly. Like the RSI doesn't really tell you anything right now. The MACD is wishy-washy. This could go in either way. We are below the 20. We're touching the 50-day moving average, and we're above the 200-day as well. So this has plenty of momentum to go higher. I'm curious on what Lux Algo is telling us. Okay, Lux Algo thinks it's going to go to higher, like to $1.70. So look at that. Lux Algo is telling you to sell up here. Like, hey guys, time to sell, time to sell. I mean, I sold right here, so that's not horrible. But yeah, whatever. I missed out on what, like 160 I think I sold for. I missed out on 20 cents per share. Okay, that's not horrible. I'm happy with it. Anyways, watch your eyes, guys. Ooh, yeah, look how bright that is. That is garbage. Anyways, it is Bitcoin season. Definitely Bitcoin season. I don't know if this means anything. I just like to include this in my videos. All what this is saying is that Bitcoin is doing better than the altcoins. That's all it's saying. I don't know if this is a really good index or not. But Cronus, though, is doing exactly what I said I think it was going to do. I think it was going to go test the 200-day moving average, which it did test the 200-day moving average, and it's getting rejected off the 200-day right now. So it's getting rejected off the 200-day. I think it's going to go ahead and hit this blue line again, and then bounce up and potentially break the 200-day. We are above the 50. We are above the 20 EMA. But we are below the 200-day. We're still fighting it. The RSI, we got plenty of room to move, and we got plenty of room to move on the MACD. I would say this is bullish. The target price here is 10.85 cents. That is like the ultimate target that I think is going to hit. It can go higher. It can definitely go higher. I'm not saying it's not going to, but like that's like the long-term, like November time frame. But yeah, so that is what I think Cronus is doing right now, and I don't know, I'm super stoked that this hit 6 cents. I know a lot of people are super hyped for it hitting 6 cents. So this is downward sloping though in the 200-day. That's not exactly good news, but we'll see once again what happens. All right guys, that is all what I have for the financial charting and other things that we've talked about as well. So just be careful right now, because technically we are in the good times right now. We're technically not in any war. Technically unemployment's not that high. So I know that sounds crazy, but we're technically in the good days. Technically. I don't know how, but we are. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. And also I have a Discord that you can join if you want to join. And also, if you want to, please consider subscribing to this new channel. All right, bye.